What's happening, guys? We are back here again today for another video. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. Today's discussion, we're going to be comparing the Audi S6 to the Audi RS3 platform. Now, before we get into our topic of discussion, guys, if you're new, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. We've got an excellent library of automotive content. Your support is much appreciated. So I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of people asking about comparing and contrasting the differences between both cars. As you guys know, current project on the channel is a 2018 Audi RS3. The last Audi build series we did was on a 2013 C7 Audi S6, which if you haven't already checked that out, I'll be sure to leave a card right up here. So we've had a lot of interest comparing the two platforms. So without further ado, let's get into a full discussion. So starting off with our first category, we're gonna be looking at comparing engines. So if you don't already know, the Audi S6 uses the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine. This is found on your 2013 through 2018 C7 and C7.5 Audi S6 and S7 models. You may or may not already be aware, but as of the introduction of the C8 being the 2019 and newer model, the S6 and S7 now have been downsized to a V6 twin-turbo engine. So 2019 and up, unfortunately, the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 is strictly reserved for your top dollar models being the Audi RS6 and RS7. So hopefully we can all agree the Audi 4.0T has an absolutely fantastic exhaust note coming from that twin turbo V8. One of the biggest benefits that really stands out to me as a car enthusiast is just how simple and easy it is to make big power with the S6.
I would say the Audi S6 is like a level 100 Snorlax of a car. Like, it's big, it's heavy, it's a little bit sleepy, but it wakes up. It's gonna catch your attention.
Even with basic bolt-ons, drop-in RS7 size turbos, and off-the-shelf tunes, you can still easily approach that 600 horsepower mark and still have a reliable daily driver. The stock 4-liter motors are definitely well known to support some pretty serious power. Even on the stock bottom end, you can still get well over 600, 700 horsepower with the right tuning, the right maintenance, and all supporting mods. Again, if you want a little bit more information, I'll be sure to leave a card above if you want to check out the Audi S6 build series. Now moving on to the Audi RS3, our engine configuration is of course none other than the legendary 5-cylinder turbocharged engine. We all know and love the Daza engine for its beautifully exotic exhaust note, which is guaranteed to put a smile on your face. These motors are good for your typical stage 1 or stage 2 bolt-on setups, which equate to around 500 to 550 horsepower, which in my opinion is more than enough for a street car, especially considering the compact size of the RS3. Now, once you get into some pretty serious modifications, when you're talking big turbos, E85, all that kind of stuff, you're really looking to push some serious numbers. Obviously, at that point, in order to support those figures, you're going to need to go with the built motor. So ultimately, it's really going to come down to your intended purpose of the car, if you have any specific power goals in mind, and ultimately what your budget looks like. Now, moving on to transmissions. Now, in my ownership of both platforms, I've personally experienced that the DQ500 is much more crisp and responsive, has a lot better characteristics. Everything about it feels more comfortable and smooth, very snappy in between shifts in both drive and sport modes. The DL501 has been around for a bit longer. It is an older DSG. It will get the job done. There are various upgrades for these gearboxes. I've personally found that just the overall quirkiness of the gearbox makes it a little bit less desirable than what you find as far as DSGs that come in the transverse spout cars. I should also mention that a lot of cases you will see some problems with the DL501s. They are more prone to mechatronic unit failure, which can be very expensive to repair as well. Now, as far as looking at drivetrain configuration, both vehicles are, of course, all-wheel drive. The S6 platform is going to use the traditional Quattro system, whereas the RS3 is going to use the Haldex all-wheel drive system. If you're looking for a technical deep dive as far as a comparison between both all-wheel drive systems, there's quite a few videos available on YouTube if you're looking for more information. Many traditional enthusiasts are going to favor the true Quattro system over the front-wheel drive biased Haldex system. One of the biggest complaints about Haldex is, of course, it's not a true all-wheel drive system. It is front-wheel drive biased, which of course there's always going to be some pros and cons, But at the end of the day, if you take a look at the results, there's plenty of hardcore drag racers out there putting down 9-second, 10-second passes on these RS3s and TTRS models. So if it's good enough for them, I'd say it's more than sufficient for driving around the streets at a healthy 500, 600 horsepower. If you decide to go a little bit further, there are aftermarket Haldex controllers as well if you want to be able to fine tune your all-wheel drive system. Moving on to our next category, guys, we're going to be going over just overall luxury and refinement. Both models have exceptionally comfortable seats. The S6, being a true full-size Audi, is going to have the multi-link suspension along with air ride, so the results are obviously going to provide superior ride quality. The S6 is going to be perfect if you're going to be looking for a comfortable daily driver, if you're going to be commuting, if you have some long road trips, if you're traveling. You have so much space. It's extremely comfortable. You really can't complain about the ride quality. Now, the downside, of course, to the S6 platform is, of course, having air ride is in many ways a double-edged sword. When it works, it's fantastic. You can raise or lower the car. You can dial in all your settings with comfort and dynamic. But unfortunately, as you guys probably know, when air suspension breaks, it's also going to break the bank. Now, with the Audi RS3 sharing so many components with Volkswagen, it does have a much more simplistic suspension design. As mentioned before, the mag ride is nice to have. Overall, it's still going to give you a pretty firm ride that may not be for everyone. Again, this is another department where a lot of people are going to criticize the RS3 for not being a real Audi. Which, speaking of that, I do find it interesting a lot of times with a lot of broke boy negativity. It does seem to be a pattern with the guys complaining about the RS3 not actually owning or driving RS3s. Now, when it comes to overall price point and value, unfortunately, just being the fact that used inventory still is rather low, you're really not going to find the best deal in either one of these cars. It just a lot of times comes down to simple supply and demand. If you're looking to get your hands on a 4.0T, when it comes down to the Audi S6 and S7, the S6 is always typically going to be your better value. Typically with S7s, you're always going to pay more just looking at that Audi Sportback tax. It's just always something that I've seen when comparing these different models. The other thing you want to keep in mind as well, if you're looking to save a little bit of money, usually if you go with an earlier C7 model, which is going to be your 2012 through 2015, you can typically save a lot when it comes to looking at the facelift C7.5 models being 2016 to 2018. If you go with a little bit older, of course, you can save yourself some cash. Just bear in mind, you go with a higher mileage car, you got to really make sure you understand what you're getting into. The 4.0T cars definitely have a pretty steep list of maintenance concerns, so these are things you need to be aware of before you even look at going into performance. So going full circle, guys, comparing these two platforms, having owned the Audi S6 as well as the Audi RS3, modifying both platforms, I would say either way, they're going to be really fun, enjoyable, fast cars. If you're looking for something that's going to serve as a better daily driver, I would say you may prefer the S6 just being the larger, roomier, more comfortable car. If you want something that's more compact, a little bit lighter on its feet, with a little bit more of an exotic flair, then obviously the RS3 is going to be the right move. Either way, make sure to take your time, get all your facts straight, do all of your research, gather as much knowledge as possible before getting into one of these cars, as obviously they are very expensive vehicles to purchase, very expensive to upgrade and maintain. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you've been kind of looking at comparing and contrasting these different cars, let me know which one you went with and why. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more content. We've got a lot of exciting projects coming up here very soon with our project Audi RS3. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.